From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, government rejects stories of establishment of a caliphate in Gwoza, insists it would not cede any territory to terrorists. Conflicting reports trail the sighting of 480 Nigerian soldiers in Cameroon. The military denies they fled following fierce fighting. INEC rejects call for extension of permanent voter registration. Those who fail to meet the deadline to visit local government centers. And Ukraine President Petro Poroshenko raises alarm over alleged breach of laws by Russian convoy.
And on business news tonight, Minister of Agriculture Adeomi Adesina says Nigeria has saved over 400 billion naira from food imports.
And on sports news tonight, President Goodluck Jonathan congratulates the Falconets for their silver-winning performance at the just concluded FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup.
There are conflicting reports over the sighting of 480 Nigerian soldiers in Cameroon, while reports on the BBC say the soldiers fled to Cameroon following fierce fighting with Boko Haram. The Nigerian military dismisses the claims, insisting the soldiers did not desert the battlefield. Cameroon Army spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Didier Bajek says the soldiers have been disarmed and are now being accommodated in schools. In its response, the Nigerian military says troops that were found in Cameroon were as a result of a sustained battle between the troops and the terrorists around the borders with Cameroon, which saw the Nigerian troops charging through the borders in a tactical maneuver. According to the military spokesman, following necessary discussions between Nigerian and Cameroonian military authorities, the issues have been sorted out. Subsequently, the troops are on their way back to join their unit in Nigeria. The reference to the incident as a defection is therefore not appropriate, considering the discussions between the two countries' military leadership and a series of contacts with the soldiers who have now confirmed that they are safe, end of quote. And in Gamboru town in Borno, the military says it's engaging the group in a fierce battle with soldiers confronting the insurgents. According to the defense spokesman, Major General Chris Olukolade, the area came under heavy attack this morning. The AFP on Sunday obtained a video in which Boko Haram claims it's established an Islamic caliphate in Gwoza. In the meantime, the federal government has given the assurance that Nigerians have nothing to worry about over the video released by Boko Haram announcing the declaration of Gwoza community as a caliphate by the leader of the sect, Abubakar Shekau. The Minister of Information, Mr. Labaran Mako, dismissed the video and vowed that no part of Nigeria has been or will be ceded to any sect or illegal group. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafor, reports.
Nigerians woke up to the news on claims by the leader of Boko Haram, Abubakar Shekau, that Gwoza, a community in Borno State, is now an Islamic state and no longer a part of Nigeria, a claim that has been dismissed by the federal government, saying it is on top of the situation.
No part of the Nigerian territory will be a center for an experimental terror state in West Africa. We will defend the honor and integrity of our nation. We have confidence in the ability and capacity of armed forces to uphold the territorial integrity of our nation. Local and international adventurers that are contending with the destiny of our nation should know that we defend our country to the last man. We know our responsibility to this country. We know the responsibility of this nation to Africans all over the world. And we'll do everything within our powers to ensure that our country remains united, indivisible, and continues to prosper as the leading state in Africa.
Still on security issues, Mr. Mako defended the deployment of large number of security operatives during elections.
We are deploying those people to give citizens the confidence to come out and vote. Because when there are threats by politicians to deploy violence, in the end, citizens are afraid of coming out.
On its part, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps says it is prepared to defend the integrity of the nation's election come 2015.
I am sure you will see even the various stages of election, that's voters' registrations, collection of voters' cards, release of voters' cards, party conventions, other programs. We have always been part of the participants to ensure decorum, to ensure tranquility and peaceful conduct. So these are part of the approach.
That Nigeria is faced with a myriad of security challenges is not news. The desire and expectations of Nigerians is for the federal government to nip the menace in the bud. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Medical doctors are back to work after the leadership of the Nigerian Medical Association called off its strike action, which lasted for about 2 months. In our next report, our correspondent Olu Phillips takes us through some of the hospitals across the country where he reports that life is gradually returning to normal in the health institutions.
After a long stay away from work at their primary constituency spanning over 6 weeks, medical doctors have agreed to pick up their instruments again in public health institutions. A lease of life is gradually returning. At the Ladoke Akintola University Teaching Hospital in Oshogbo, flashes of resumption can be seen, but full work is yet to commence.
Each head of department is meeting with their staff to work out a modality in which there will be immediate takeover of active delivery.
Can't wait to get back to work. Dr. Amechi Nwachukwu, a consultant orthopedic surgeon with Anambra State Teaching Hospital, has agreed to conduct a surgery in 48 hours' time, which may gauge the back-to-work atmosphere in Anambra State.
Government will be very fast to blackmail us that we are inhuman. We don't care about people. But if I tell you the number of phone conversations, phone treatments, phone management I have done in the past 2 months, it was better for me to have been at work.
From Kaduna, this time at Yusuf Dantosho Hospital, patients are already taking advantage of the suspended strike action. The laboratories are busy collecting samples, all in a bid to go full blast to deliver healthcare services. In Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, doctors of the Federal Medical Center, FMC Idiaraba, have resumed, but with a plea to the federal government to recall the sacked doctors.
The NMA called off the strike with a condition. And the condition is resident doctors in Nigeria that are pronounced sacked by the federal government of Nigeria should be called back to work.
Back in Lagos, the Commercial Nerve Center, movement of persons is gradually pacing up, which clearly indicates a compliance to the directive by the NMA boss. One very significant point to note in the whole episode is that doctors have agreed to sheath their sword at a time most crucial in the nation's battle against the deadly Ebola virus. However, a long-lasting truce will be most gratifying. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Health, Ndudi Elumelu, has asked the doctors to apologize to millions of Nigerians who suffered as a result of their action. The lawmaker told journalists in Abuja that their decision to stay away in the face of glaring health challenges was unpatriotic and contrary to the oath of the medical profession and the oath of medical ethics. To avert a similar action in the future, Mr. Elumelu urged the doctors to work closely with the Ministry of Health on the 2015 budget proposal to ensure their demands are captured for the coming year.
The NMA has suspended the strike, but failed to do one thing. The NMA failed to apologize to Nigerians. The NMA should apologize to Nigerians for all the inconveniences and lives that were lost during the strike. Agreements must be obeyed. If parties had obeyed previous agreements executed by NMA and representative of federal government, the strike would have been averted. The lesson to learn here is that we must at all times obey contents of agreement freely entered into in order to avert crisis.
Away from health issues now, the federal government has directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to set aside 50 billion naira for a planned agriculture mechanization intervention support fund. The Vice President, Namadi Sambo, gave this directive at the commissioning of 100,000 metric ton grain silos at the agriculture equipment hiring centers in Abuja. Our correspondent Gloria Humezoke reports.
The Vice President arrives at the Kwali Silo Complex. It's a mixed crowd from government officials, entrepreneurs and farmers eager to be part of the commissioning of perhaps the largest silo in West Africa.
Vice President.
The Vice President underscored the necessity to expand the nation's food storage capacity and reduce post-harvest losses following colossal waste and inefficiency of the agriculture sector over the years.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has completed a total of 6 silos with capacity of 250,000 metric tons since November 2013. I direct the Central Bank of Nigeria to set aside a sum of 50 billion naira mechanization intervention fund. This support fund will allow and speed up the full establishment of the 1,200 private sector-driven agricultural equipment hiring enterprises across all states of the Federation.
It's a paradigm shift away from the rudimentary tools. Smallholder farmers are witnessing a new dawn, but certain challenges remain.
The high cost of land clearing is a major disincentive for the expansion of cultivated area, especially in the southern parts of the country due to the dense vegetation, while the high cost of mechanization from plowing to harvesting pose great challenges to farmers all across the country. A farmer with access to a tractor will be able to plant 10 hectares per day, compared to just 1 hectare per day if the same operation is being done manually with hoes and cutlasses with human labor.
Through our partnership between APEX and the Ministry of Agriculture this season, we will be working with 100,000 farmers in Kebbi, Katsina, Kano, Kaduna, and Zamfara to link their commodities to financial markets and to increase their income levels by up to 20%.
These gigantic silos, which are present across the Federation, will be completed by year-end, according to the federal government. It would also help stabilize the cost of agricultural produce and perhaps turn Nigeria into a full self-sufficient country in the future. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, Anambra State pulls down a story building used as a hideout by kidnappers in the state. That's in a moment. Do join us again.